This video was sponsored by iMobie. I use their software called Anytrans and wanted to share 3 of my favorite features. First, I set up a daily wireless backup of everything on my iPhone, and now I don't even need to think about when my latest iPhone backup was, or whether there's enough room for it on my iCloud. I just know it's taken care of by Anytrans. If you're an Android user thinking about making the switch to iPhone, then you need Anytrans. It transfers virtually every single file from your old Android device to your new iPhone with one click, so you don't have to worry about losing any contacts, photos, or custom ringtones in the process. And finally, my favorite feature is the video URL downloader. I love watching YouTube videos but can't watch on the go since it eats up so much data. But with Anytrans, I can download my favorite YouTubers' new videos directly to my phone, bypassing iTunes completely, and watch them on the go whenever I want. I highly recommend you try Anytrans today for free by clicking the link in the description. Hey guys, it's Greg with Apple Explained, and today we're going to unbox and review the Nintendo Switch. It's a compelling piece of technology that I absolutely love, and I thought you guys might enjoy getting a closer look. Also, all the products and accessories mentioned in this video can be found in the description. So the Nintendo Switch is a hybrid gaming console that can be played on the big screen at home or on the go in handheld mode. This flexibility makes it one of the most convenient gaming systems I've ever seen. The Nintendo Switch launched on March 3rd, 2017 for $299.99. And it's available in 2 colors, neon and gray, although special Super Mario Odyssey and Splatoon editions of the console have also been released. Prices for these special edition consoles are always changing, so check the links in the description to see what they're currently going for. Now, I bought the gray version, which I find more sleek and stealthy than the eye-catching neon, but both colors look great. The outside of the box features some photos of the Switch being used docked and in handheld mode, and the bottom of the box shows us what's included inside, along with other detailed information that I can't read since I did buy this unit while overseas in Japan, which means yes, this console is region free. I should point out that Nintendo didn't seal this box shut with any tape, shrink wrap, or adhesive. Instead, they used serrated cardboard with a 2-tab enclosure to make sure the box stays securely shut, which it does. Once we lift the tab, we see quick start instructions where it shows us how to power on the console and connect the Joy-Con so it's ready to go out of the box. And of course, all this text will be in English if your Switch is purchased in an English-speaking country. After lifting the lid, we find 2 gray Joy-Con and the 6.2-inch Switch console itself, which is strikingly small at first glance. It slides right out of its plastic protective bag, and we'll take a closer look at this console in just a moment. The Joy-Cons are also in small plastic bags and they fall right out. Under the cardboard tray, we find all kinds of accessories, including a black Nintendo branded HDMI cable so you can connect the Switch to your TV out of the box. We also get a power supply using a USB-C connector, which gives the Switch some interesting capabilities like using your MacBook as a power supply, but it does take a while for the Switch to charge, whether it's connected to the wall or otherwise. Also included is the Joy-Con grip, which basically turns the Joy-Con into a more traditional style gaming controller. Each Joy-Con just slides into place with a very satisfying click, and overall it's a comfortable controller with a nice full grip even for larger hands. Along with the Joy-Con grip are the Joy-Con straps. These can only be attached when using the Joy-Con individually, like in 2-player mode or playing by yourself with the Joy-Con in each hand. They slide onto the sides and give you a nice wrist strap with a clasp to keep it in place so they don't fly out of your hands. Although the strap is a bit too short for me while holding it sideways in 2-player mode. There's also a small locking mechanism at the bottom of the strap, so be sure it's unlocked before removing or else it could be damaged. The attachments also extend the L and R buttons for a more comfortable grip, but the buttons are pretty mushy and take a while to get used to. And finally, along with some paperwork, we get the dock, which is wrapped in bubble wrap and plastic. Now this is what you'll use to connect your Switch to your TV, and it's a fairly simple accessory. It's made of plastic and it's surprisingly light. There's a door around back for hiding all the cable management, which includes connections for the USB-C adapter, your standard USB Type-A, and HDMI out. There's also 2 more USB ports on the side of the dock for connecting and charging accessories like the Pro Controller or the Joy-Con charging grip, which are both sold separately, and you can find links to those accessories in the description for more information. So what makes this system so unique is the Joy-Con controller design. Each has their own internal rechargeable battery and radios. They also have an advanced vibration motor that enables what Nintendo calls HD rumble. Now the right Joy-Con does have a couple features that the left does not. First is an NFC reader so you can tap Amiibo, and second is an infrared camera that it uses for motion capture. Now if you look at the side of the Joy-Con, you'll see 4 LED indicators and a pairing button, and this is just telling us the current pairing status of the Joy-Con. If you peek underneath the track, you might see some electrical connectors which allow the Joy-Con to charge and pair when attached to the console. These Joy-Con can be used independently, attached to accessories, or attached to the console itself. This allows for 3 different gaming styles: handheld portable mode, the standard TV console mode, and a Wii style mode where you can use motion controls. Now the console itself is basically a 6.2-inch tablet with a capacitive touchscreen rather than the resistive touchscreen found on the 3DS. The display is surprisingly sharp and colorful despite the 720p resolution, but keep in mind that I'm coming from the low-res 3DS display. Now some have criticized the Switch for not supporting 1080p in handheld mode, but I suspect that may have caused issues with battery life, speed, and overheating. Also, this is an LCD display with in-plane switching, which means we get consistent brightness and color accuracy even when viewing at an angle. And like the 3DS, the display is plastic rather than glass, which makes it more durable and shatter resistant, but it is prone to scratches, so something like the AM Film tempered glass screen protector might be a good idea. The display is also pretty reflective due to the air gap between the LCD panel and the plastic cover, so it may become frustrating to play outdoors on a sunny day. You may also find that fingerprints are harder to wipe off compared to your iPhone or iPad display, and that's because there isn't an oleophobic coating to repel the natural oils from your skin. Beneath the display, you'll find Nvidia's custom Tegra processor, along with 32GB of built-in storage, which you can expand up to 2TB by using the SD card slot that's hidden behind the kickstand. Now the kickstand only seems to work reliably on hard, flat surfaces, and it pops off quite easily, which makes the feature feel a little like an afterthought. Along the left and right sides, you'll find rails for attaching the Joy-Con, and Nintendo definitely did not cut any corners here. The all-metal rails feature 5 screw reinforcements and appear to be quite durable, so I wouldn't worry about these wearing out during the device's lifetime. On the bottom, you'll find the USB-C port with holes on either side that act as guides when placing the Switch into its dock, and I should mention that the Switch can be charged on its own without the dock. On top, we have a recessed power button to prevent accidental presses, along with a volume rocker. Also along the top is an air exhaust vent where the fan pushes warm air out, and this works in tandem with the air intake vent located on the back. The fan doesn't seem to run much in handheld mode, so the system stays nice and quiet, but it will kick on when docked since that's when the Switch outputs 1080p. On top, you'll also find a headphone jack and the game card slot. Now I don't have any game cards since I downloaded my games through the eShop, but the game cards are about the size of a standard SD card and are sold in comically large packaging without any manuals or promotional material. The benefit of buying physical game cards is that they can be used between different Switch consoles, whereas a digital game can only be played on the device used to purchase it. But carrying around and misplacing game cards has always been an inconvenience for me on the 3DS, so I'm happier with digital downloads. Finally, the 2 notches on the front of the device are stereo speakers which sit inside the bezel, and they produce some impressive full sound for their size. Now battery life on this device varies widely. Nintendo says the Switch should get about 5 hours on a single charge, but this number can be anywhere from 2.5 to 6 hours depending on the graphics requirements of the game. The battery itself is 4,310 mAh, which isn't that much bigger than a standard 3,500 mAh smartphone battery. So we've talked about using the Switch in handheld mode, but what about connecting it to your TV? Well, that's where the dock comes in. All it needs is AC power from an outlet and an HDMI connection to your TV, and the Switch is ready to be docked. Just drop the console into the slot and the connection is made automatically. If the Switch is powered on, then what's displayed on the small screen will be transferred to the big screen seamlessly. It'll even power on the TV if you have that configured. So once it's docked, you can remove the Joy-Con and continue using the console from a distance right on your TV. This also works in reverse. Just reconnect the Joy-Con and undock the console, then you're back in handheld mode right where you left off. This is an incredible feature that really separates the Switch from other consoles on the market. To power this off or put it into sleep mode, all you have to do is press the power button and it switches everything off. Now playing games on a higher resolution big screen looks much better compared to the smaller 720p display, but you may experience some minor frame drops from time to time. Just to show what it's like to use the device, one of the cool things here is that when you attach the Joy-Con, you get a sound effect and a little animation along the edge of the display that corresponds to the color of the Joy-Con. Here it's just gray, but if you have the neon switch, it'll be blue on the left and red on the right. The purpose of the sound effect and animation is to let you know that the Joy-Con is fully connected to the console. To remove the Joy-Con, just press and hold the little button on the back and slide it right out. To wake the device, you can press the power button or the home button, and to unlock, you have to press any one of these buttons 3 times. And some of these buttons have unique sounds, so let's listen to that. Now getting into the system, you'll notice that the interface is pretty simple. The main launch screen has all of your games laid out, and if you have a game that you're currently playing in the background, it'll always appear first in the list with that playing notification at the bottom. You can select with A or tap on the game to bring it forward, and then you can press the home button to go back home and send the game into the background. Notice how a single tap on something only highlights it in blue and doesn't launch the element right away. This means double tapping is something you'll do a lot if you aren't using the Joy-Con controls. So if I double tap here, I can access my account information, including play activity and my friend list. We have the battery percentage, Wi-Fi indicator, as well as the current time. We also have options down here for news relating to the Nintendo Switch. Then we can go back and we also have an eShop here where we can buy games. This is where you log in with your account to download digital versions of games directly to your console. And you can hear the sound the store makes as it loads, which is actually quite pleasant. So after logging in, we can see recent releases, games that are on sale, bestsellers, and games that are coming soon. There's also a page to enter download codes if you purchase a digital game from a retail store. I should mention that pricing is identical whether you buy the physical or digital version of a game, and digital games can take up quite a bit of space, so if you go that route, I recommend getting an SD card to expand the console's storage capacity. Now when you tap on a game, you can see more detailed information and swipe through game footage, and of course you can proceed to purchase. There's also an album for gameplay screenshots and recordings you can take by pressing the screen grab button here for a photo or holding down to save the last 30 seconds of game footage. You can edit these screen grabs and post them with your Nintendo account to Facebook or Twitter directly from the console. We also have controller settings where you can see the battery level of each Joy-Con as well as the console, and from here you can change the grip order for not only the Joy-Con but also a Pro controller. We can also pair new controllers by connecting them to the console itself or by other pairing methods like holding down the pairing button on the side of a Joy-Con. In system settings, there are quite a few things to look at. Now this is a wireless device, so airplane mode can be activated here by turning it on or off. Next is the screen brightness controls that include auto brightness, since there is an ambient light sensor right here, and this will help adjust the screen automatically. Under screen lock, you can turn off the requirement to press a button 3 times to unlock this system. We have parental controls, internet connection so you can see the connection status as well as the MAC address. Data management shows you how much free space you have left on the built-in system memory, as well as SD card memory if you have one installed. You can also manage software and uninstall games if you'd like to do so. Users allows you to add different user accounts, so you can have multiple users on this console, which is great. We can also load our Me account so we can build characters or add Me's we've already created. Here we can transfer our amiibo information, and when it comes to themes, Nintendo is keeping it simple for now with either black or white. And then we have our notification preferences. We also have sleep mode settings, so this console by default will go off after 10 minutes of inactivity, but you can adjust it to your liking. There's also a different setting for when the console is connected to your TV. Next, there's controller and sensor settings where you can change the grip order, turn off controller vibration, which will help with battery life, and you can calibrate the controllers if things get a bit wonky. For TV settings, you can change the resolution from 1080p down to 720 or even 480p, but I just leave it on automatic. The RGB range can be specified, but I leave that on automatic as well. You can also adjust the screen size, but you'll have to be connected to your TV to calibrate that. There's also screen burn-in reduction, which just dims the TV when a game is paused for a long period of time to prevent any damage to the TV itself. We can also match the TV's power state, so if your TV is compatible with this, it'll automatically turn on when the console turns on and turn off when the console turns off. Then we have TV sound options, so we can choose surround sound, stereo, or mono, and this just depends on your audio setup. Under system, there are important things like console battery percentage, which you'll have to turn on manually since it is off by default. Now, no matter where you are in this system, you can always hold down the home button to bring up this menu, which displays the time, Wi-Fi strength, battery life, as well as access to screen brightness and airplane mode. So that's it guys, I hope you enjoyed this close look at the Nintendo Switch. I provided links in the description if you want more information about the Switch, its accessories, or the games I featured. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.